Hello, welcome back to the name of the show is Saturday Morning Games, but I it's not Saturday morning anymore. I have been kind of struggle bussing this week and still wanted to record so that I would continue with the rhythm. I just didn't record this morning, so it's going to get uploaded at night. It's Saturday night games, but same idea as Saturday morning. This week, I'm going to be talking about BioShock. And I'm very excited about this. So the first week of the year, I beat three different games. I beat Echo and BioShock and Kirby's Adventure on the NES. Kirby's Adventure was on the NES. BioShock was on my PlayStation, and then Echo was on my Switch. But it was Kirby on the Switch Online. Remember, I'm going into too much detail. That's something I would cut if I had editing software. Anyway, besides all of that, the yellow coloring in everything. Oh gosh, it's really bad. It's really bad. It's because that's what color my light bulbs are. Usually I use the natural light that comes from my window. Sometimes in tandem with those lights. And it's a lot better. But since it's night, I only have the light bulbs and it's this really bad color. So sorry. Thank you for watching anyway. Maybe just listen. Maybe don't look at the video the whole time that I'm talking. Back to BioShock, though. BioShock was a game that I knew was a big deal. And I knew that, like, Elizabeth was in BioShock Infinite. And so, it went on sale on the Switch, and so I was, really excited, put it on the wish list, and then it went on really good sale on the PlayStation, so I got it. And I had, stayed fairly blind, and out of the loop, because I knew I wanted to play it at some point. So, I've been fairly blind to this. This was my first time going through it. I just knew I know that they're the big daddies now. I didn't know that that's what they were before going into it, but I had seen them before. I had no idea about the Little Sisters. I had no idea. I didn't even know that it was a shooter. So that tells you that. I might have known at one point that it happened underwater. So it was still really blind. And the thing about BioShock, after I've played it, I looked up reviews and other videos talking about it to see what the general consensus was, how it was received, what people think about it, things like that. And I was surprised to find that the general talk about BioShock is that it's how much of a piece of art it is. Now, BioShock is a relatively old game. I don't know for sure what year it came out, but I know that it's been out for a long time now, many years. And I'm very interested in this take. It's a very nuanced take as soon as you start talking about art and what is art and everything. I'm a big fan of Dada and the Dada movement. So I'm one of the jerks who thinks that if someone says it's art, then it's art. One of my favorite pieces that I've ever seen in person was a tissue that was nailed to a piece of wood. So it was just all these things that this person clearly just found around their house and then cobbled together and then hung in a gallery. Part of the reason why I love it is it was pretty. It was a very pretty tissue, the way its shape, its form. It was nice. It was pleasant to look at. But the guy next to me was so mad about it. The guy next to me was a photographer and an author, and so he puts a lot of work into his art, and he was so mad because he thought it was too easy and not enough work. And both takes are valid, right? Don't get me wrong or say that he's wrong or anything. I just thought that the piece of art making him so upset was fun. It was lighthearted. Please don't misconstrue this. And so I'm one of those people, but I feel like when someone says BioShock is art, the way that we interpret it is not generally anything can be art. There's a connotation behind it, right? Especially with the history that video games have of not being considered high art, fine art, and how that conversation has kind of changed. But I'm coming into this game now kind of in my head on the backside of that, where I feel like it's very easy to defend video games as being high art. Journey is one that I hear all the time. I have, but I haven't played yet. I feel like Undertale is high art in terms of making you feel emotions and think about things from a different point of view. I feel like Gris is higher. That's a game that very much says something and makes a statement that people can look at and interpret and think about in a new way. Um, Gosh, and it's so. I was kind of confused about why, because it was a shooter, right? It definitely had a message. There was lots of talk on philosophy and politics, and like, is not a man entitled to the sweat of his brow, and the whole idea of rapture, a man making a city where there are like no gods, no kings, only man. So I mean, there's definitely like a message there, but none of the ideas felt new. Um, like I had heard all those things before. Those are old philosophies, old ideas, and so the aesthetics kind of play into that, right? Because the aesthetics are this old Art Deco 20s kind of feel, with like other like things that feel like kind of that era, um, of that 20s Art Deco flappery kind of type stuff. So old ideas in an old setting. But upon like seeing that, I did recall a specific moment that I had when I was playing the game. Now there was the part, I don't remember what it was called. Game Maker's Toolkit did a video on this particular section, but it's the part when the artist kills the guy playing the piano, makes you take a photo of it, and then put the photo in the stand, and then you go around and kill 3 of the other pupils of the artist's pupils, and then take photos of their dead bodies and then put them up in the thing. When I was first playing through that, I didn't want to take a photo of the dead body, the first dead body. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to run around and try and find it, try and find you, try and figure out some way to get around not taking a photo of this body. Because I've played a lot of games now where you feasibly could choose to do that, could choose, I'm not going to take that photo. And I ran around for a long, long time. Like, I scoured the map, looked all over, really tried to find anywhere that I could progress, but all the doors were locked. And then it dawned on me that this is one of those old games where the only way I could progress was by doing what the artist asked me to. And so I took the photo, put it up, and then that map opened up to me, and I was able to explore again. And all that happens, and so that was like the first time in the game where I was like upset because the game made me do something that I really didn't want to do. And so I didn't like that. But then you get to the part with what's his name? I can't remember his name. He's the guy who you beat his head in with a golf club at the end, and it's the guy who built Rapture and who is consistently saying a man chooses, a slave obeys. And this is where things get interesting, because at that moment I realized the ludonarrative harmony happening in BIOSHOCK, because BIOSHOCK literally made it so that I had to do things I did not want to do in order to progress. I could not choose. I was a slave. And the player in the game, the person you're playing as, is also a slave. He cannot help what he does. You cannot help what you want to do if you want to progress the game. And he cannot help what he wants to do within the narrative of the story. So there was such cool ludonarrative harmony that it was really neat. And they made it about autonomy. And since that's like something a little bit bigger than like having to go fast or catching them all or running and jumping, since it's a little bit more than just something that's just like 2 verbs or whatever, I get why people are saying that it's art, because it's talking about an idea and it's using the medium of video games to explore that idea by literally making it so that in order to play the game, you cannot choose. And I thought that was very interesting. Even still, after playing Undertale, playing a few games where you can choose, playing Breath of the Wild, where that game is all about do what you want to do, figure out a way to do it, and make it work. Going to a game that was all about lack of choice was still very interesting and a very interesting take, and I definitely can see arguments for BioShock being art. It made me feel things. It said something a little bit deeper. It it inspired awe, because there's a lot of takes on what art is supposed to do in order for it to be art. And it checked a lot of the boxes for me. So I think generally I think that yes, video games are art. There's definitely like a level of craftsmanship and things like that go into them. But this one, I feel like it's very easy to make that case. And hopefully my experience kind of clarified why I think that's the case. Next week, I'm going to be probably talking about Kirby's Adventure. I'm still in the middle of Bravely Default. I have cured 3 of the crystals, 3 out of 4. And so that would tell me that I'm 3/4 of the way done, but I actually don't know. I keep hearing that it's a really long game, and I don't feel like I've spent a long time on it yet. It has been more than a week. But I also beat Captain Toad. Captain Toad was on the Nintendo Switch Online shop. So if I talk about the games in the order that I beat them, it'll be Kirby's Adventure, then Captain Toad, and then maybe Bravely Default, but it'll either be Bravely Default or Pokemon Arceus. Thank you so much for watching my video. I'm very grateful that you decided to spend the 12 minutes watching this video. I hope that you do have a wonderful week. Leave a comment about video games that you think are art, and if you think that that's a fair thing to call them art. If there are video games that you think are definitely not art. If you've got any hot takes about video games and art, leave a comment. I'll read it. I'll respond. Art is a very interesting conversation to me. I love the reactions that it causes people to have, especially like when that reaction is not one that we're fond of having, like disgust or anger. I'm really interested when art does that type of stuff. So if you've got an experience about that and you don't mind sharing, I would love to read it. But if you want to talk about art that you just love, video games that you just love, or any other art that you absolutely love, and maybe other people don't consider it art, go ahead and leave a comment talking about it. That I think that it's valid, and I'd love to hear about it. I really need to come up with an outro. Bye.